Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Member Lou Warner.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Secretary Byrne, please call the roll.
Chairman Stanko.
Present.
Member DiLeonardo is absent. Member Chabina.
Present.
Member Warner.
Present.
Member Castellane.
Present.
Member Byrne is present. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Okay. The format for the meeting includes a presentation from the applicant tonight, questions and comments that the board may have, and any interested parties may then address the board from the podium. And we ask that anyone who speaks on these applications to please state your name and address for the record. We have two items this evening, one from Woodbury and one from Hicksville. The site plan approval for 750 Woodbury Road, Woodbury 11797. The applicant is seeking site plan approval from the Department of Planning and Development for the construction of a 53,743 square foot assembly hall with accessory residence and maintenance building for a place of worship with associated site improvements. The proposed use for the subject property is a permitted use pursuant to Chapter 246, Table 5.2 of the Code of the Town of Oyster Bay. Secretary Byrne, do we have any correspondence on this application?
We do, Chairman. We have a memo from the Zoning Division dated June 1st, 2023, stating that the subject property located at 750 Woodbury Road, Woodbury, New York, 11797, has a Nassau County Land and Tax Map designation of Section 13, Block 112, Lot 62, and is located within the LI Light Industry Zoning District. We have a memo from the Department of Environmental Resources dated March 5th, 2024, classifying this project as a negative declaration for the purposes of SEQR. We have a memo from the Code Enforcement Bureau dated June 6, 2023, stating there are no open code cases on the property. Chairman, since this memo is several months old, the Planning Division contacted the Code Enforcement Bureau this week, and there are currently no code cases on the property. We have memos from the town's Department of Public Works Highway Division dated June 12, 2023, and Engineering Division dated October 18, 2023, stating they have reviewed the site plans and have no objections. We have resolution number 10,571-24 adopted on April 11, 2024 from the Nassau County Planning Commission recommending local determination for this project. We have a memo from the Planning Division dated March 11, 2024 stating the required parking for the subject property is 700 parking spaces and 710 parking spaces have been provided. We have a memo from the Planning Division dated March 11, 2024 stating the division has conducted a review in accordance with Chapter 246, Section 6, Site Plan Review of the Code of the Town of Oyster Bay, and is referring the site plan to the Planning Advisory Board for appropriate action. And we have the affidavit of sign posting and mailing from the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Okay, welcome.
Good evening, how are you? Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Board, on behalf of the applicant, Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, Elisabetta Cascignano, with the law firm Son, Ward, Braff, Koblenz, Cascignano, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Suite 601, Uniondale, New York, 11553. We have several organizational representatives and expert with us tonight to present and/or answer any questions the board may have. Kirby Flo Dean is the project executive. We have Robert Hendricks and Tyrell Whiting, Government Relations. Walter Zaremba, Real Estate. Mike Feju, Ken Ross, and Robert Peterson, Architects. Chris Voorhees, Site Engineer with Nelson and Pope. Osman Barry, Traffic Engineer from Nelson and Pope. And Barry Nelson, Real Estate Expert. I'll try to be as brief as possible, but we're going to get through a few things.
Could you just
so.
put that mic maybe a little closer?
You can't hear me?
That would
Can you hear me
be
now?
better.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Initially, thank you to the board, its staff, Department of Planning and Development, and their staff, Department of Environmental Resources, and their staff for the time and attention, both today and over the course of the past 18 months, for all their hard work and dedication and cooperation. We appreciate it, and we're really excited to present you this project this evening. As Member Byrne indicated, all the certified return receipts from the mailing were mailed to the town on April 5th. The application before you is for site plan approval of a proposed regional convention hall, namely an assembly hall, proposed at 750 Woodbury Road, Woodbury, New York, designated on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map as Section 13, Block 112, Lot 62. Pursuant to Town Code Section 246.2.2.1, this application does require site plan approval from the Planning Board, as we are proposing more than 50 parking spaces. The subject property is located at 750 Woodbury Road in the town's light industrial zoning district. Its property was purchased by the applicant in December of 2022. When purchased, it was a 20.17-acre parcel containing the former four-story Geico office building and associated parking. The premises was the subject of a subdivision application, and the applicant appeared before the Nassau County Planning Commission on January 11th, 2024. The subdivision application was approved by way of resolution signed by the Deputy Commissioner on February 6, 2024. We do have a copy of that resolution. We'll hand that in at the end of our presentation. So it did result in the creation of two parcels. Parcel 1, which will be designated our parcel 1, which has 9.94 acres, and parcel 2, consisting of 10.23 acres, where the former Geico building currently sits. We are proposing the development of the assembly hall on parcel 1. We have not yet received new tax lot numbers yet, and the portion of 750 Woodbury Road, which we're designating for this presentation as parcel 2, is right on Woodbury Road. We are located south of parcel 2, and we are bounded by parcel 2 to the north, Woodbury Road, and residences to the north of Woodbury Road. Frolic Farm Boulevard is to the west, along with industrial zone property to the west of Frolic Farm Boulevard, containing various medical and office uses, and we're bordered to the east by Holy Name of Jesus Church and the Eagle Chase condominium community. We are bordered to the south by an industrially zoned property containing a four-story office building with related parking. Currently, parcel 1 is improved with a striped asphalt parking lot, which used to serve the former Geico building. Parcel 2 remains under the ownership of the applicant, and we intend to use parcel 2 for staging during construction while the proposed assembly hall is being built. Upon completion of construction, the proposal is to demolish that building and market the 10.23 acres making up that parcel, and to sell it to a buyer that has a compatible use with ours, which we believe is a quiet use for the area. We will continue to have conversations with the town regarding the eventual sale of that parcel. However, that's not the subject of tonight's application. So we are in the light industrial zone. We are proposing to construct a 53,743 square foot assembly hall to serve as a place of worship, which is a principally permitted use in the light industrial zone. Other uses permitted in that zone include, but are not limited to, gyms, light manufacturing uses, and warehouses. We respectfully submit that our application represents one of the least intensive uses of an industrially zoned property, particularly when considering its size and location. Further, the project and all plans have been meticulously reviewed by the town's Department of Planning and Development, which determined that the application is zoning compliant. The town's Department of Environmental Resources has also done an extensive review, as the project was classified Type 1 as a Type 1 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. The town's Planning Advisory Board was designated lead agent for CEQA purposes, and on March 5th, the town's director of TEQA issued a report to the Department of Planning and Development recommending the Planning Advisory Board adopt a negative declaration, which indicates that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. The applicant has filed their plans with the Nassau County Fire Marshal and the local Syosset Fire Department, who are both aware of the project, have reviewed those plans, and given minor comments. The applicant also obtained letters of gas, sewer, and water availability from the applicable agencies, and we were before a Nassau County Planning Commission this morning for 239M purposes, and that commission issued a resolution recommending local determination. A little bit of background in terms of outreach to the local community. We have made many efforts to connect with our community and hear their thoughts on the project. The applicant sent out notices to all residents residing within the immediate community, inviting them to attend one of 2 informational sessions held last year at the former Geico site. Residents had the opportunity to speak with the attorneys, engineers, experts, and volunteers involved in the project and ask any questions. They were shown the site, the applicant's site plans, and visions for the project, and they were given an overview of our operations. They were given contact information and also cards with URL of a website dedicated solely to the project to stay informed as to its progress. We did produce a website, and we sent a letter to the area residents announcing the launch of that website so they could be informed. In September and October of 2023, myself and representatives of the organization met with county and state officials to discuss the project so they could in turn discuss it with any of their constituents who had any questions. We also met with the boards of the adjacent Eagle Chase and Woodbury Meadows communities, and we have remained in constant contact with them, and we are committed to working with both of these communities to alleviate any concerns in an effort to establish a collaborative and neighborly relationship now and for decades to come. Anytime we've been called or an inquiry has been made by the residents, our organization has made themselves available to the community. So we just want to give you that background to let you know everything has been transparent up until now. We've been in contact with the community. The project consists of the construction of a 1-story assembly hall for use on 75 days of the year. The hall will be used by congregants who are invited to it on specific days. It is proposed for use on weekends only, except for 13 Fridays during the summer months, when the hall will be used for 3-day events taking place from Friday to Sunday. There will be no congregating at the hall during the remainder of the week. It will only be open to volunteers that maintain the property during the weekdays. There will be no other functions at the Assembly Hall. The Assembly Hall is distinct from other religious institutions that conduct events such as weekly services, weddings, fairs, gym uses, and after-school activities. None of these uses comport with their purpose, and they will be using the Assembly Hall solely for Bible education and worship, and the congregants are assigned to come for their slotted event or weekend. The application also includes the construction of a 2,566 square foot parsonage and a 3,900 square foot maintenance building on the same parcel. The parsonage is essentially a dwelling and will be occupied by a couple that will serve as caretakers throughout the year. They are with us this evening. They are Greg and Emily Peterson. The parsonage will also host guest speakers that are invited to speak at their events. The caretakers will reside in the parsonage all year round and will coordinate maintenance and security of the property. And there will be a constant presence on site to help secure the Assembly Hall and the adjacent communities. The maintenance building will be used to store landscaping equipment such as snow blowers and lawnmowers. It will also contain a warming kitchen to heat up food that is prepared off-site to feed the volunteers who are called in as needed to maintain the building and its grounds. It's not used for any outside events. It's important to note that none of the buildings will ever be leased or rented to any organization or person, including the congregants. There will be no other events, such as concerts, conferences, Vacation Bible School, or anything, in that nature. And the parking lot will be exclusively used for parking. There will never be a carnival or tent. It's strictly a religious educational facility. To that end, we have agreed to several conditions with respect to this application after discussions with the boards of the Eagle Chase community and the Woodbury Meadows community. We have agreed to plant skip laurels in the 10-foot buffer adjoining the Eagle Chase property at their request in order to provide further screening. If acceptable to the town, we will revise our landscaping plan to include said plantings and any other plantings that are requested by the neighbors as long as they thrive in that area and that they are acceptable to the town. We have agreed to restrict the use of the maintenance building, as previously stated, for the warming of food for our staff and volunteers and to store landscaping and snow removal equipment. There will be no other uses of the maintenance building other than for potential disaster relief measures. We have stated and do agree to the condition that the Assembly Hall will also be used for no other purposes other than Bible education as described. Again, it will never be leased, and they will not hold any outside events. They have agreed that the parsonage will only be inhabited by the caretakers and any guests of the applicant who come in to speak, and it will never be leased by any outside entity. The applicant did revise their plans based on meetings with the neighbors to move their refuse containers as requested by the neighbors. They also agreed to maintain traffic operations on site for each event, which will be discussed further in a moment as a condition of the approval. They also have agreed that they will never park anywhere off-site, on the street, in any community. And they do agree, after discussions with the neighbors, that they will not invite more than 85% capacity or 1,800 persons to any event. And they will place travel directions in those invitations, and those invitations will seek to limit those that are coming from the east and west to try and get off on Minetto Hill Road rather than Sunnyside Boulevard to prevent any congestion there. And the last stipulation is the result of many discussions with the neighbors, so we are happy to do that for them. We'll get more into the operations when I have some of the organizational members come up. But the hall will be used weekly on Saturdays and Sundays and 3-day regional conventions over the summer. Each individual Jehovah's Witness is part of a congregation, and each congregation meets for religious services weekly at Kingdom Halls. Kingdom Halls are smaller buildings that are used by multiple congregations on a weekly basis, and these already exist on Long Island. The congregations are assigned 3 times a year to a 1-day assembly and one 3-day regional convention to be held at the Assembly Hall. They bring in multiple congregations that are assigned to the larger events from approximately 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Currently, the organization operates 43 assembly halls throughout the United States, but this will be the first one on Long Island. In the past, all of their members who reside on Long Island were assigned to attend their weekend convention at an assembly hall in Sunnyside, Queens. So the construction of this assembly hall will really alleviate that commute for those members. They'll be closer to home. These congregants reside on the island and attend weekly meetings at their local Kingdom Halls that are already located in their communities, and it will serve the greater Long Island community. This will not cause an influx of new congregants to move in. They already live among us. They're going to their Kingdom Halls. This is just a venue for them to get together that is closer than Sunnyside, Queens. The hall itself has 2,100 seats and 709 parking spaces, but will never operate at full capacity. An applicant has built out the attendance schedule based on the congregations that will be invited each weekend, and the average attendance is approximately 1,450 congregants. In other words, the hall will typically be operated at 70% capacity, which supports an ideal environment for learning and fellowship. So the applicant, again, agreed to that condition, and they're more than happy to follow through with those invitations to no more than 85% capacity or 1,800 congregants. It also should be noted that over the last 4 years, in-person attendance has decreased significantly as the virtual option is always in place, and specifically since COVID, congregants that are apprehensive are utilizing that virtual option. Once the hall is constructed and programs commence, applicant will use trained volunteers to direct cars off the street and into the parking lot in a quick and orderly fashion. Applicant retrains the volunteers before every event and uses this method at each of their halls on event days. They also employ a staggered entry and exit, which will be explained in greater detail later in the presentation. But this ensures that traffic will not be backed up along Frolic Farm Boulevard at program start and end. There will never be a need for congregants to park off-site. And when the traffic is explained, they'll explain why that is. We intend to remain in the community for decades to come, and they pride themselves on being very good neighbors. Each property owned by the organization is kept in meticulous conditions. Landscaping is constantly being maintained. This is going to be their home for many, many years. So they really take a lot of pride in its design and its construction, and they're really excited about it. There is, well, actually, at this time, unless the board has questions of myself, I'd like to call up Chris Voorhees from Nelson and Pope to go over the site plan.
Yes.
Great, thank you. My name is Christopher Voorhees. I'm with Nelson and Pope Engineering. I'm a professional engineer and project manager for this project. On the screen, you can see the existing site. The subdivision has been overlaid. Parcel 1 is on the right-hand side of the screen, and parcel 2 on the left, where the existing office building resides. The next slide shows the proposed assembly hall and the location of the demolished building. Now, I'd like to briefly describe the site plan layout, site circulation for the proposed development. The site layout provides site access driveways that encompass the entirety of the assembly hall. This allows for effective circulation of both visitors and emergency response vehicles. There are 3 main pedestrian entrances to the assembly hall. These are located on the north, which is the left-hand side of the screen, west, the bottom, and the south side of the structure. That's the right-hand side of the screen. There's a proposed sidewalk that surrounds the building that allows for access to the secondary entrances all around the perimeter of the building. The accessible parking is provided in close proximity to each of these main entrances. The parsonage, or caretaker's residence, and the maintenance building are proposed to be in the southeast corner of the property, which would be the top right of the screen. The parsonage is provided with a small parking lot that will provide spaces for the site caretakers as well as for the guest speakers. As described, the site dumpster is located adjacent to the maintenance building. This is on the west-hand side of that structure, and that is the bottom of the screen. This will allow for the separation to the residential district. The proposed assembly hall is designed for 2 site entrances from Froelich Farm Boulevard. As indicated, during days of assembly, congregants will be directed by volunteer parking attendants who will manage the parking of vehicles in a systematic and orderly manner to fill the proposed parking lot. The parking will accommodate 709 parking stalls, and this is in excess of the town parking requirement. Site lighting is at a mounting height of 14 feet and will utilize dark sky style, high efficiency LED fixtures that are shielded to keep the proposed lighting within the property boundary. In addition, the light fixtures have been specified to include motion sensors that will allow for the light setting on either a high or low level light based upon the site use. The proposed site will be improved from the current condition by providing a robust landscape plan that will increase the overall percentage of landscape on parcel 2. The parking lot landscaping is designed to exceed the town requirement for parking lot landscaping. Plantings have been selected to utilize as much as possible native plant species. The site stormwater will be managed through on-site stormwater collection system and recharge structures. The stormwater system is designed to meet the requirements of the town as well as the New York State Stormwater Design Manual. Site sanitary waste will be collected with a private sewer connection to the Nassau County sewer system. The plan has been reviewed by the Nassau County DPW and, as indicated, has received a sewer availability letter. The site water will be provided by Jericho Water District, and as indicated as well, this has also received a water availability letter. Services will be provided for domestic, fire sprinkler, and hydrant water. Site irrigation is provided through a combination of rainwater harvesting and supplemented with a low-flow on-site irrigation well. The site is also proposed to be served with public electric and gas. If we could go back to the 2 slides before. The work proposed for parcel 2, so that's on the left, is to demolish the existing office building. As described, this will primarily be used for the construction office, and the site will be used for material stockpiling and staging. The parcel is improved with a small drainage reserve area that will intercept stormwater runoff prior to overflowing across the subdivision line. After the demolition, The building and the disturbed areas around the building will be vegetated with northeast coastal plains mix to provide ground cover that is a mix of native drought-tolerant grasses. Parcel 1 and 2 erosion controls will be installed and meticulously maintained in accordance with the New York State DEC standards for erosion and sediment controls. As part of this project, regular inspections of the erosion controls will be performed as part of the SWIP process. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to the project architect to describe the building.
Good evening. My name is Ken Ross. My address is 1107 East Main Street, Jonesboro, Tennessee. And now that you know I'm from Tennessee, that'll explain my accent a little bit for you. We just wanted to assure you that we have assembled a very professional team that really cares about this project. As for me personally, I have been project architect for 8 other assembly halls as shown on the map, beginning in West Palm Beach, Florida, at Conyers, Georgia, Fairfield, Georgia, Orangeburg, South Carolina, Crownsville, Maryland, La Feria, Texas, Aurora, Colorado, and Casa Grande, Arizona. And we've assembled a team of professionals that are registered, not only architects, but the engineers like structural engineers, mechanical engineers, plumbing engineers, electrical. We have a code analyst, we have interior designers, and we've hired and outsourced the civil engineering to a local firm, Nelson & Pope. And then we also employed the services of Robert Peterson, a local architect, as a consultant for our project. We never cut corners in our projects because when we design one and build one, we want to be there and use it for a long time, and we want it to be done correctly. And we're proud of the facilities that we do build, and we think that when we're finished, you will be proud of it too. The design that we use for these facilities, if we could show the renderings, there was 3 buildings, single story. We selected materials that were very durable and also very aesthetic. And so we use for the materials of these buildings, we use brick, split face CMUs, we use architectural metal panels and metal roofing. Those materials will last a long time and they're very pleasing to look at. The buildings that have been described for their use, there are 3 buildings, and the use of them has already been described. So again, we want to just assure you that we want to be a good neighbor, and we want you proud of our facilities just as we are, and we will do it correctly. Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Osman Barry, and he will talk to you about the study we had on the traffic.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Osman Barry, a licensed professional engineer with the firm Nelson & Pope, with offices at 70 Maxis Road in Melville, New York. Nelson & Pope has conducted a traffic study to determine the traffic impacts associated with the proposed Jehovah's Witness facility to be located at 750 Woodbury Road in Woodbury, New York. Traffic counts were conducted on a typical Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 11 intersections surrounding the study area. These turning movement counts were collected during these periods to account for the hours of operation of the proposed facility. The Town of Oyster Bay Planning Department was contacted to obtain information on other planned developments that may impact traffic flow in the study area. At the time of the study, 7 other planned projects existed in the study area. Hence, the traffic from these planned projects was added to the ambient traffic volume to develop the 2026 no-build volume. That is the future volume without the construction of the facility. As stated earlier, the maximum occupancy anticipated will be 70%, which is 1,470 congregants. However, our study is based on a conservative 85% occupancy of 1,785 congregants. Data provided by the applicant based on existing similar facilities operated by the applicant was utilized to develop trip generation rates for the proposed facility. That means estimating the number of trips that will be generated by the project. Additionally to that, traffic that will be generated by the proposed facility was also estimated utilizing trip generation data published by the Institute of Transportation Engineers, publication Trip Generation 11th edition. That is a widely used resource to generate traffic for this kind of uses. We did compare the trip generation of the proposed facility developed from the applicant data and the trip generation obtained from the ITE trip generation manual. The trip rates from the applicant were higher than the ITE rates during the Saturday and Sunday peak periods. Therefore, the higher rates from the applicant's data for Saturday and Sunday peak periods was proposed for the proposed facility was utilized to estimate the traffic from the project. We did prepare a trip distribution and assignment of site traffic based on the location of potential congregants and the anticipated routes taken to the facility by the congregants. The potential route taken by congregants were determined using Google Map direction tools. The site-generated traffic volumes were assigned to the adjacent street system based upon the developed trip distribution. The future volumes, that is after the construction of the project, was developed by adding the site traffic to the no-build volumes. We then performed intersection capacity analysis for the study intersections and the site access driveways. Analysis were performed using Synchro version 11, a software we normally use to analyze traffic impacts. The analysis were completed for the existing condition, the no-build condition, that is the future condition without building the project, and the build condition after the construction of the project for the weekday AM, weekday PM, Saturday AM, Saturday PM, Sunday AM, and Sunday PM peak periods. The results of the analysis for the 2026 no-build condition and the 2026 build condition were compared to identify any significant traffic impacts associated with the proposed facility. Based on the review of the results, the study intersections will continue to operate at no build levels of service with minor increases in delay that ranges from 0.67 seconds of delay to no more than 10 seconds of delay at the intersections. Based on these results, the proposed project will not significantly impact the operation of the study intersections and the surrounding roadways. Hence, no mitigation measures were required in terms of traffic. The proposed assembly hall is being classified as a place of worship and associated assembly area for parking regulations. Based on section 246-8.2.1 of the Oyster Bay Town Code, a minimum of 1 space is required per 3-person occupancy, in addition to 1 required loading space. The proposed facility is planned to hold up to 2,100 occupants, that's the maximum, thus requiring a minimum of 700 parking stalls. A total of 709 stalls will be provided. Even if all the congregants arrive at the site in personal vehicles, the proposed project satisfies the parking requirement. To further justify the adequacy of parking, the organization will utilize 7 buses with a 50% occupancy to transport some congregants to and from the facility. With a fully occupied facility, about 1,750 congregants will travel to the facility by personal vehicles, requiring a total of 584 parking spaces. Hence, the provided parking will exceed both the parking required and the parking demand. Based on the results of the traffic study, it is the professional opinion of Nelson and Pope that the construction of the proposed facility will not result in an adverse traffic impact at the study intersections and the surrounding roadways, and the parking provided exceeds the parking required by code and the peak parking demand of the facility. That concludes my presentation. I would like to call upon Mr. Hendrickson to present the operations of the facility.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Robert Hendricks. I live at 800 Red Mills Road in Wallkill, New York. And on behalf of the Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, we want to thank you not only for listening to this presentation, but over the last 14 months, working with your town, your planners, your staff, and other appointed officials has been just an absolute delight. And I say that from the standpoint of somebody who's worked with governments for a long time. And this was a very, very beautiful...
Well, that won't get you too far, but go ahead.
We wanted to make sure we extended that thanks from our organization. So now going to just a little more of a deep dive into who we are. That first slide tells you 8.7 million around the world. We're in 239 countries. We have 118,000 congregations, and our largest celebration once a year is our memorial of Christ's death, and we have about 20 million people who come to that celebration, commemoration. You'll notice the international aspect of our organization on our website, because no website on the planet has more languages, 1,090 languages. We also are the largest convention organization in the world. I say that to you because we hold 6,000 conventions a year during the summer in 239 countries. We hold tens of thousands of assemblies and thousands right here in the United States. And it tells you that the veracity of our data that came to our economic impact study, for our parking study, for our traffic study, is well established, not only in the 43 assembly halls here in the United States, but also around the world. The history of Jehovah's Witnesses on Long Island, my grandparents, they were contacted in about 1952, but we date back to, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm changing mine, but not yours. Forgive me. So here we go. So, so our first Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses congregation was in Islip, and that's where I grew up. My parents were there. We grew up in Islip. We attended that congregation, but not far after that, East Meadow, Smithtown, Eastport, all in that same vicinity. And these are congregations that have grown in the area and that have split. You know that there's been a migration of people all across from Long Island. We've been kind of a farm system to the south, so we've had a lot of turnover. But right now we have 8,069 congregants in 80 congregations. 2 assembly halls serve the area, Sunnyside, Queens, and if you believe it, Bushwick, Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, many times congregants, even from the East End, will go to that, and it'll take them about 3.5 hours to get in to that facility. It tells you what the need is to have a more centralized facility in a place that's far more accessible. We also, if you take a look at this, this photo, this is one of our relatively new Kingdom Halls over the last 15 years in Belmore. You can see it's a modest structure. We hold congregation meetings there twice a week. We usually have about 2 or 3 congregations in the same hall. They're small, 125 to 175 in each congregation. And when you look at the congregation, you see the inside. It's first a simple facility. In Nassau, we have, in Suffolk, 21 congregations, Queens, 24. And typically 2 or 3 congregations, as I said, hold weekly meetings there. So the Assembly Hall will not replace, as Elizabetta said, any of these Kingdom Halls. I say that because the first impression with some of our halls, like down in Huntington, where we have one of our older facilities, one of the government officials that we met with said this, yeah, I was jogging by the facility and I was wondering if you're going to close those old ones and then have this as a mega church. Absolutely not. We don't have mega churches anywhere in the world. This is a regional convention facility. You'll see also, this is a historic facility. That's where we currently go in Queens on Greenpoint Avenue in Sunnyside, Queens. Haven't been there in a while, but I grew up there. My parents, we would go to that facility. It would be an all-day affair. It was wonderful. We love the community. We enhanced that community. We still do. It's a very desirable facility for somebody because it's still in beautiful shape when you go inside it. It's a historic theater. 1930, though, and it was built as a movie theater, not as a religious convention facility. And so we are going to be happy to replace it with something that is actually designed for that particular use. And so when you think about these regional centers of Bible education, that's exactly what they are. We have 43 of them around. The last six were built using a very similar and simplified floor plan. And the exteriors are designed really to match the community, so that you'll see on when we show the video, just a short video of some of the assembly halls around the country where we have architecture that blends in with the community, as this one will. We host, as was stated, special biannual assemblies. They're smaller assemblies, typically 1,000 or less of those assemblies, because circuits are split in two. We'll give that an example of that. And then we hold regional conventions that are held also around the world during the summer. So there'll be 13 of those regional conventions at our facility. And you can see what goes on there. It's exactly what you see in the picture. It's simply large screens, demonstrations, talks, and an assembly hall that's really, you can even see this isn't planned, but you can see this, it's probably at about 65 or 70%. Now, when you look at this assembly hall as an example is Puyallup, Washington. You can see the northwest look in its architecture. And as we look at some of the assembly halls that will feature some of our newer assembly halls, Aurora Assembly Hall in Colorado, you can see the little differences. Crownsville, where is that? La Feria in Texas. And then we have, this is Orangeburg, our newest. And some of the folks who worked in Orangeburg are working on this project as well, as you heard. This is Casa Grande. And you can see the orderly parking here. This is Mira Loma in the LA area, Southern California, and how the parking is handled. We'll show you that in a moment as well. And the peaceful environment of this facility. People are there from generally 8 to 5 and beyond. And this is exactly what you'll see when you walk into our facility, and hopefully you will when it is completed. Just a little note on the parking. So we hold these events, and before the event, we have every single one of these folks who are directing parking here. They are all trained in a 3-hour session, 2.5 hours of a video session that trains them on how to bring cars in, properly stage them, and also on safety. There's usually, in a facility like the Long Island Assembly Hall, there will be about 50 of them in the parking lot, and another 125 to 150 what you might call ushers. In other churches, we call them attendants on the inside for safety of the congregants. Just a little more on this parking issue. How do we keep all those cars, how do we get them off the road? Well, first of all, it's a staggered ingress. So people are arriving at the facility as early as 6:30. Our attendants arrive at 6:30 on Friday, as an example. So many of our volunteers are there before 7:30. We ask them to get there early. We open for seniors and those who are infirmed and their helpers at 8 o'clock. So you can see people arrive at around 6:30. The program doesn't start, we don't ask people to get in their seats until 9:30 or 9:40. So there's really 3 hours of a staggered ingress. You'll never see 500 cars coming into this facility. This facility will be staggered in its ingress. And when there are peak times, we'll show you what we teach them to do. Now this is one of our larger conventions, so we hold conventions in large facilities as well, and we get them off the road. So you can see that would be, for example, Frolic Farm Road. We get the cars off the road, we embrace these long lines, and then in peak times, we take these long lines and we extend them into the rows. So you'll see them go into the rows. This is how we get cars off the street. Nobody comes into our parking lot and parks themselves, ever. Never happens. Even at 10 o'clock or noon, there'll be some folks out there directing traffic. That's important to us because of safety reasons, and it's important to the community because of traffic and safety reasons as well. Just an overview of what it's going to be used for. 31 weekends per year, 13 summer weekends featuring a Friday program, all starting at around 9:30, but ingress starts at 8 a.m., official ingress into the facility. And it says 6 p.m. because typically we stop at 4 to 5 p.m. depending on the program. But what happens is, if we are sending, for example, these are invited-only guests, right? So we know how many are numbered, we know how many congregants are coming, we invited them, and we'll show you how we do that. But then we ask them to clean part of the facility. So we'll take 10 congregations as an example, and some will clean the front, some will clean the bathrooms. So some won't, some will leave, but the congregations are responsible for that. So there's a natural staggered egress as well. And there's a long history of this. We will never bring in somebody to clean our facilities. We do it ourselves, we clean up after ourselves. And finally, our average attendance will be 1450 a day, but frankly, it will likely be less than that, and in time, far less than that. For example, some of our assemblies are foreign language, where we'll only have 300. Our circuits are typically 2,000. We'll only invite half of the circuit at a time on Saturday, and then the other half on Sunday. So we'll typically be around 1,000. But 1450 is really where we will program it for our larger regional conventions, and then there'll be a component of that won't come because of the virtual component. We always offer a virtual component to our assemblies, conventions, and meetings. Now you see here, this is what we would call an elder who is actually giving a badge card to a congregant. The congregant says, I'm going, can you give me a badge card? The badge card is given, they're signed out, and this is what's happening at the facility. The person, every door is manned, the badge card is looked for, and if the badge card is not there, the person is approached, and we want to know their intentions. Obviously, you can see that is a problem person right there. No badge card, so no entry. So, just a little more on this issue of who comes. Now, this right here, you'll see it says 15 congregations. My understanding is it's now 18 congregations, the circuit. So there's 18 congregations in what we call New York Circuit 4, which serves the eastern part of Long Island and Suffolk County. There's 10 Kingdom Halls that are served by that. And then those congregations are split up into two. 9 congregations will go each day. So 4A and 4B. Right now, this is a real scenario. They went on October 13th to Queens. And we're hoping those same group will, on October 11, 2025, go to the Long Island Assembly Hall in Woodbury. What a blessing that will be. You cannot understand, unless you've been a Jehovah's Witness on Long Island, especially on the East End, what a blessing this is to our community. This Assembly Hall will serve 21,000 attenders from the greater Long Island area, 166 congregations in 9 different circuits. And you can take a look now at the inside. This is the Orangeburg Assembly Hall, and the inside of this is pretty much a duplicate of what you'll see in the inside, the design of the inside of our facility. One final point that I'll make, and I appreciate your time, on the parcel number 2, the northern parcel. This is a rare opportunity for us to choose our own neighbor. We'll put, by the time this is done, we'll put $50 million into this site. We'll put a lot of love into this, a lot of effort. It's the neighbor that we choose to sell to has profound consequences for us as a religious organization, an educational facility, and we know on the community. But nobody has a greater and bigger stake in who that neighbor is than us. We want to assure the town and our community that we will do our due diligence and we will find a neighbor compatible with our needs and with the needs of the community. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll turn it back over to, I'll turn to Barry Nelson now.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the Planning Board. It's Barry Nelson, 220 Pettit Avenue, Belmore, New York, 11710. I am a licensed real estate broker, a certified general real estate appraiser. I don't know if the board is familiar with me. I've been testifying before many boards for the last 40-plus years in similar related matters. And in today's application, I was hired by the applicant to provide my opinion of the application. You've heard substantially about the organization, about the zoning, about the use. The subject property is within a LI zoning district, and that includes Woodbury Road to the west generally, Sunnyside Boulevard to the south, and on the east and west side of Frolic Farm Boulevard. The zoning you'll find in the area will include the R110 zoning on the northerly side of Woodbury Road. The triangular area, what I just mentioned for the Woodbury Road, Sunnyside Boulevard, and Frolic Farm Boulevard is all LI zone. To the east of the subject property is on the northerly side, the RSC 25, multifamily senior citizen garden apartment type units. To the south would be an RMF6 zoning classification, which is a multifamily, and that's Eagle Chase. Their access to the site is off of Sunnyside Boulevard to the south. Beyond to the east would be the R1 1-acre zoning districts. So you got mixed use, industrial, multifamily, single family on 1 acre, single family on 10,000 square feet in the area. The use that's coming before this board is a religious use that is permitted in every zoning classification within the town of Oyster Bay. Residential, 6,000 square foot lots, 1 acre sites, and all the business, general business, neighborhood business, industrial zones. So it's a permitted use. You're going to find that throughout the town, throughout most towns, and throughout Long Island as well. The application, the proposal, is for the southerly side of a approximately 20-acre site. It is one of the largest sites as far as light industrial in the area. Just in comparison to the development in the area, the subject property currently is improved with over 235,000 square feet of general office space. The site to the south of the subject property is approximately 5 acres with about 125,000, just under 125,000 square feet. The only larger similar sized parcel in the area, which is 1,000 Woodbury Road, approximately 14 acres with just under 290,000 square feet of general office space. General office space now has diminished in demand. The trend is going away. The applicant is proposing a approximately total building area of little over 60,000 square feet on almost 10 acres. As I mentioned previously, the parcel to the south has 5 acres, little over 5 acres, 120,000 square feet. The current trend for development now is industrial type uses, industrial buildings. The applicant's proposal conforms to all the minimum requirements and exceeds most of them in area dimensions, setbacks, on-site parking, landscaping, etc. There will be no need for zoning variances, and it's a permitted use. Don't need to go to the town board. Just needs this board's approval on the application. As far as the current configuration on the site, where the Religious Institution Assembly Hall is being proposed, it's all flat, general flatlands, asphalt paved, minimum landscaping. As you've seen on the photographs before you, there's substantial landscaping that's being proposed against the uses that you'd found to the immediate east, to the north as well, to the south. To the east is another religious institution To the north would be the senior garden apartments, residential, and then to the Eagle Chase. Two religious uses within that immediate vicinity will only tend to appreciate property values, and the use is one of the least intensive uses, in a least restrictive zone classification, LI industrial use. So it's a fairly good application for a proposed site, which will leave the northerly side approximately 10 acres for a redevelopment as well. In my opinion, this application comes before the board as a good neighbor, as a good use for an industrial use, and considering what other permitted uses would be permitted in the industrial zone, warehouse-type uses. This is a one-story building where you can put a three-story permitted in the industrial zone. I believe it's a reasonable request. It's not going to alter or change the essential character of the neighborhood. It's fully established and will only tend to be a good neighbor and appreciate property values. It's a compatible use, as I mentioned earlier, in all zoning classifications within the Oyster Bay Township. So you'd find this type of use in residential, general business, and commercial. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Counselor.
Okay.
All right, so, I mean, you've heard from the whole team now. If you have any questions for me at this time, I'll take them. If not, I do have a letter that we received today from an adjacent neighbor in Eagle Chase who is recovering from COVID, but has asked that I read the letter to the board. So if you'll indulge me for 2 minutes while I read Mr. Osman's letter. Stephen H. Osman, who resides at 4 Eagle Chase in Woodbury. I was planning to come to the Planning Advisory Board meeting in person this evening, but I am recovering from COVID. I have lived at 4 Eagle Chase in Woodbury for 31 years and served on the board of the Homeowners Association for 21 years and 15 as president. My property currently overlooks the back of the former Geico parking lot, so the Jehovah's Witness Assembly Hall will be literally one of my closest neighbors. When I first learned that the Jehovah's Witness had bought the property and would build a church at the back of the site, I was relieved. I cannot begin to put into words what it has been like to live next to a parking lot with 1,800-plus spaces and to deal with noise pollution and general disturbance that this 18-hour-a-day, 6-day-a-week operation caused me and our neighborhood. While the COVID-19 shutdown and the move to remote work left the parking lot quiet and fallow for a period of several years, it does not blunt the memories of the pain that this caused many of the homeowners who border the property. Because the property has not been used to that extent since early 2020, some have forgotten how significant the impact was to our neighborhood. I, for one, have not forgotten and will be forever grateful to the Jehovah's Witnesses for purchasing this site. I believe that our community should have a fairly good idea of what it is like to live by a church, since the Holy Name of Jesus Church is right next door. They have been a good neighbor on all counts. Having a quiet, peaceful religious use of properties on both of our borders will improve our quality of life in Eagle Chase and may even increase the value of the community. When the Geico property was on the market, many of us, including the church, were anxious to find out who would develop this light industrial zoned property. The type of development that was being contemplated from some interested parties was of grave concern to both Eagle Chase residents and to the church. When the witnesses purchased the property, many of us were relieved to find out what was planned. While what I appreciate about the witnesses is that they have gone out of their way to keep us informed, constantly working to build an understanding of the project. The initial fears of some have melted away after we realized that this site would be fenced in and secured 24 hours a day with a physical presence on the property at all times, with the facility only being used 75 days a year, mostly on weekends. On its own merits, this is a project that is easy to support, but compared to the possible alternatives, it's a godsend. Frankly, the Geico building existed almost 2 decades before I bought my home in Eagle Chase. I knew I was moving adjacent to an industrial zone. I did it with my eyes open, but to now have an opportunity to see this industrial zone used for passive and peaceful religious services for just 75 days a year is a gift to our community. In short, I wholeheartedly support this project and urge the Planning Advisory Board to approve it tonight. Thank you for allowing me to put my thoughts and comments on the record, and I'll submit that to the
Yes,
board.
okay.
Okay, as an exhibit.
and extend our get well wishes to the person.
Thank you. I
And
will.
tell him, I think he can watch it tomorrow, right? He can watch it online.
Online. So, in conclusion, we would respectfully request that the board grant this application. We believe that we have proposed a use that is compatible with the community, that is the least intensive use that an industrially zoned site could contain. We're looking forward to staying in the community for a long time. That is our team, that's our application. So if the board has any questions from any member of our team, we're happy to answer them. I know there's a lot of people here that some may want to speak, so.
All right, well,
We'll be here.
We'll start with the board. Anybody comment?
Yeah, I have, for the gentleman from Nelson and Pope.
Chris Voorhees?
Yes. He mentioned bus deliveries. Yes, people coming in bus.
Oh, yeah, traffic.
You mentioned people would be coming in buses.
Yes, 7 buses, yes.
Okay, I didn't on the site plan see any storage area in the parking area for bus storage or whatever when, they drop off. I'm sure they don't leave once they drop their people off, they park someplace.
They leave, right? The buses drop off and they leave. They come
I'm
back
sorry?
to pick up. I believe they leave and they come back to pick up after the,
Oh, they leave the site?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and,
They're accustomed to that, they've been doing that for 40 years for us.
okay, I just didn't want the buses to end up parked near a residence or near the church or something like that and idling or, causing a problem or whatever. Also now, is the parking lot secured at all times when there isn't an event there?
Yes, the parking lot is secured, 24-hour security. Right now, we have 24-hour security. It will be fenced in at all times and inaccessible. So it will only be open during programs and when somebody comes to visit who has either the code or is allowed in.
Okay. And just one other question, which is my thing up here. Are you going to have a generator or have generators for the building?
Sure. There are no generators proposed for this building.
No? Okay. That-
Just a question on your traffic control looks to be great. And on this particular parking area, this setup now, is that ideally geared that you'll be able to get all the cars off of Frolic Farm Boulevard and into your parking facility without any backup or problems?
Yes, I think it is ideal because when you look at the site plan, if we go back to that just real briefly, what we do is we create a parking plan for every facility and every convention. We have conventions in places like school auditoriums and conventions in places like MetLife Stadium. In 2014, we had an international convention there, so let me get back to this. But you'll see that there is the flow of the traffic. Here we go. There it is. All right. So when you come in off Frolic Farm, you'll be able to wind them around the building and all the way, you have the entire perimeter of the parking lot that will be available to create that long line. And that's how we'll stage them. We never give them a beeline to a parking spot. The key is to get them off that road, and we're very successful at doing that. So it's very rare that we have a stack of more than 2 or 3 cars in our facilities. Even when you would consider, there isn't quite a bell curve with our traffic. There probably is a peak, but even during what you might call peak, which is minimal, we don't have a backup on main roads. And that's key here too, because you don't have far to the light, right? So it's very key for us to get them off of Frolic.
And the same is true for exiting? Usually a meeting will end and there's more people leave at that time?
Correct, yeah. So at that time, we will have an initial folks leave over time. Remember, a part of what we do is fellowship, but the other part is cleaning. So the exit is never an issue because there's never a crush of cars that exit at one time. It just doesn't happen.
I was also impressed with your car directors, because whenever people go to an event everybody wants to just drop and run in. I need a spot right at, I'm only staying a half hour, I'm only staying 5. I've done it, I know. So, and I know my friend over here has attended many golf outings where board directors, you know, are important. Now, do they help, the people that come, you have the same people coming to this venue all the time?
Yeah, so
You're not
the-
having different groups this week and that, so once you get that pattern down with them,
That's true.
they'll pretty much know what the situation is there.
Correct.
Am I right?
Everybody will, there'll be a learning curve in the first year. But in that first year, everybody will have visited that facility and attended 3 times.
Right.
And the thing about our folks, and anybody will tell you this, is that they respect direction to a person. And the second is they're a little more patient and they're not ready to leave. So that's the cool thing about this too, that we didn't really emphasize. People come, they don't leave. So folks may be concerned, oh, what about traffic during the day? There will be none. Because 99% of people stay for the entire program and never leave. We feed them at the seat. They're asked to bring their own food, so they eat at the seat. Or they'll pick something up at the deli on their way. And so they're in the facility, they're stable, they love it, and then they leave. It's that simple.
And also, when they come for that early, you said they get there very early, 2 hours ahead, maybe. Are they in that foyer area in the beginning? I mean, or did they just come into the building and socialize?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We don't allow general access until 8 o'clock.
That's right, 8 o'clock.
So if they come early, because somebody wants a good seat, they'll line up outside. Now, if it's inclement weather, we have a very good portico arrangement there. If there's inclement weather, we'll stage them in the lobby. 8 o'clock, we'll let them go to their seats, and then they just mill around, they'll have a cup of coffee, they'll talk until the program at 9:30.
And are they also guided out by these directors?
That's
to
right.
help them out? Okay.
So there's about 125 to 150 people in the facility that act as security and ushers, bring them to their seats, help them get a seat, deal with any disturbances, and there's about 50 to 75 in the parking lot. About 25 will stay there the entire time, and then they'll be back out there for egress. So there's a constant presence for a number of reasons. Those who are infirmed or disabled, or if it's inclement weather, they'll come up and they'll be dropped off, and we have helpers at the drop-off site to help folks out of their car.
Okay. And can somebody just talk about the refuse and what happens with the garbage? Do you have, containers? How do you handle that?
So the trash will be collected interior, and through these volunteers, they'll be, the trash will be distributed over to the dumpster enclosure.
Could you just can you point that out on the,
So the dumpster enclosure is on the bottom right of the maintenance building, so that's the 2 buildings on the upper
oh,
right
I see it right
quadrant.
there. Yep.
So there's a
Okay.
fairly large dumpster enclosure. It does have compaction, so all the trash will be handled, maintained, and confined in that location.
And how about pickup of the trash? How does that work?
That'll be
Early
handled
morning?
by a carter service, commercial carter, obviously not during the time of assembly.
Okay. Or, I guess, would it be during the week, I would imagine?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And would it be very early, or?
It would be on the
Yeah.
schedule of the carter, but, I'm
right.
sure our
I-
applicant could be
I don't think it
reasonable to
impacts anybody
hours.
there. Yeah,
But
okay.
the building being in the way will help with any kind of noise that's generally associated with dumpsters.
Okay.
Just one question relative to the seating in the main area. Do you get assigned seating, like if I go to Shea Stadium?
I love it. A Met fan. 16 to 4 today, I
Citi
think.
Field, they tell me where to sit. Do I, when I come to your assembly hall or one of your gatherings or whatever, or am I assigned a seat, or is it just general seating?
It's general seating, except that there's seating for the elderly and infirm that is designated, usually in the back of each of the rows. so it's accessible, and then the rest is general seating.
When you showed the pictures, I just noticed a lot of adults and some smaller heads. At what age do you have kids come to these also?
Yeah, so my first was probably when I was an infant, and I've been coming ever since, haven't missed. So it's a family affair. Of course, as demographics are on Long Island, we're an aging population, so we have a lot of aged ones as well, many of whom do take the virtual option. So there will be a fair amount of families, children, and we don't restrict the time, the size, we don't restrict the age.
So they sit in the main assembly
Correct.
hall and listen to whatever's being presented?
That's right. There's no separate facility for them or daycare on site.
Okay. Scott, anything?
Does the landscaping have irrigation?
Yes, so the irrigation will be supplied by on-site rainwater harvesting. So off of the maintenance building, we have a rainwater harvesting tank, and so that's going to be supplemented during the drier periods by an on-site low-flow irrigation well. In addition, our landscapers stressed using native species, and that generally be more drought tolerant to help reduce the amount of water usage.
Scott, anything else?
Just one thing on the mechanical equipment. I see that there's mechanical equipment areas around the building with regards to the one at the rear of the property towards the residential. Is that enclosed, and what kind of mechanical equipment is in there? Is there be any sound pollution transforming over the property line?
So as far as the actual mechanics in there, that's not my area of expertise. I believe that has to do with the HVAC system, but all of them are encompassed by an enclosure. So that's going to help minimize any kind of sound issues.
Thank you.
Anything else the board has?
And last for me is timeline for construction.
As you probably know, we have our building permit application in already. We've submitted, and we would love to be able to get started immediately and have a 12 to 14-month construction duration. So in the fall of 2025, we can open the facility. That would be our desire.
Thank you.
Oh, one more. When you build these, they're all different, correct? There's no one look-alike, and I know that's the Jehovah's Witness Assembly Hall. Each facility is different.
Yeah, you
correct?
saw that it is very different. The thing that doesn't change really is the inside auditorium. Very, very similar inside because it's been tried and true teaching setup for us.
Do you have any, I'm sorry, do you have any idea on the, when the Geico building is going to be demolished?
I don't, do we have an estimate on that?
We don't have a timeline yet, but as soon as we can demobilize, we want to move it for our best interest and get a good neighbor.
So it'll be used for construction administration, kind of obscure the site from the road, allow us to feed our workers inside the building. It's kind of tailor-made for it. And so, as quickly as we can, we would like to raise that building.
No? Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board at this time?
Hi, Chairman, members. My name is Robert Vella. I live at 96 Spindle Road, Hicksville, New York, 11801. I've been living in Oyster Bay a little over 42 years now and been associated with Jehovah's Witnesses for a little over 51. And during that period of time, my family and I had two young boys. We grew up there, and they're now married and out of the house as well. But we attended a congregation in Farmingdale, which is right by the golf course there in Bethpage, and then that became another congregation, so two of us share there. And we attend our meetings there, my wife and I at this point, and my son and his children. And one of the things we've come to learn that while we're there 2 times a week at our meetings, for like an hour and a half, hour, 45 minutes, when it comes to our assemblies and conventions, that becomes a very special event for us. And, as a father, and I have 2 young ones, you talked about children.
Yeah.
They came with us, they sat with us, it's a family arrangement. And the travel I had, which is about a little over 30 miles from where I live, in Oyster Bay, to Queens Assembly Hall, you're looking at about a little over 2 hours. In this location would be 10 minutes, traffic 15. So for me personally, it's a good benefit. But I know I can basically speak for the other 8,000 friends, that, especially those who live out east. A project like this will make even our conventions more lively, more better, only because of the fact, even that travel time I found with my kids when they were young, they were tired. You get them up early, you got to get on the road, you beat the traffic on the expressway or Northern State Parkway. And so having this, I know for my son, he's got 3 young boys now. He also would find it advantageous because of the travel.
No, let him travel, let him run. Danny can come over.
I knew what it was like when I had to travel with him, so. Yeah. So,
Thank you.
I can certainly say that, like I said, these assemblies, even though 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, while they may be long in length, but it is something that we as Jehovah's Witnesses certainly appreciate. We learn a lot there. The point is how to be better people, better in a community, and live better lives. So having an assembly hall in Long Island, it's actually a prayer being answered for most of us, because it's something we always looked forward to, for travel, not only just for travel, the opportunity to be able to be close to home to have it.
Right.
So we appreciate it. Thank you very
Good,
much.
thank
for your
you.
time.
So- Oh, you're next. Where is she? No, wait, no. I saw her in the, yeah, you'll be next after, come on up.
Good evening, Chairman Stanko, members of the board. My name is Andy Theodosio. I'm an attorney with Schneider Bushell. We represent the 99 homeowners of Eagle Chase Condominium and the 114 tenant shareholders of the Woodbury Meadows Senior Living Redevelopment Corp. that are neighbors to this development. I want to echo a few things that were said earlier. The applicant has met with us, has negotiated with us in good faith. We've met with Elizabetta several times, and we've spoken with her even up to today. I just wanted to point out 8 points that were agreed upon. I believe Elizabetta did mention them in her presentation. I just wanted to mention them again to assure that
Okay.
any approval be based on those points.
Okay.
The first one is that the applicant stipulates that the maximum capacity to any event is 80% or roughly 1,800 people. The second one, that the traffic mitigation efforts that are set forth within the application itself are actually a contingency of the approval. The third, that there be no off-site parking. The fourth, that any directions given to the congregants on how to get to the place of worship, recommend that they use the Minetto Hill exit as opposed to the Sunnyside Boulevard exit. The fifth, that there's no catering and no rental of any facilities that are used within the community. The sixth, the 10-foot buffer zone between Eagle Chase and the Jehovah's Witness property include certain plantings that were agreed upon, including laurels, plant skip laurels. Our landscape architect will work in connection with their landscape architect, and I'm sure they'll work harmoniously. And the seventh, the parsonage be used solely for guest speakers and as a residence for the caretakers. And the last, that the maintenance building be solely for volunteers. I don't think that there's any disagreement on any of those points. I believe Elizabeth mentioned them.
Just one clarity on your first point. where
that,
there will be no more invitations.
invitations.
Right, will be limited to 85% and
Correct.
1,800 people.
Correct.
So we're good?
We're good.
Okay.
Okay. I thank the board for its time.
Thank you. Okay. No, where is she? You want, come on. All right, you're next then. You want to?
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak to you. My name is Robin Einstein at 26 Duane Street, Farmingdale, New York, 11735. I've lived in Farmingdale basically my whole life. I grew up and I got married and I still live in Farmingdale. And so for maybe over 50 years, we've been traveling to the Queen's Assembly Hall, which, you know, I love the Queen's Assembly Hall. It's definitely dear to my heart. But when we heard that they're building Long Island Assembly Hall, my goodness, we've all been jumping for joy. Because you know how the traffic is going into Queens, and it's been getting harder and harder as we get older, and the parking in Queens. So we're really looking forward to having this Assembly Hall, and we hope that you will pass the planning, and we get the approval. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for your comment.
Very not prepared for this, but my name is Randy Sonkin. I live at 45 Eagle Chase, and I have never been to a town meeting. I have never been to a board anything. But I have to say that living in Eagle Chase for 18 years, I don't know how many people worked in the Geico building prior to their closing, have tried to come down Frolic Farm Boulevard and get to their home in Eagle Chase, knowing that everybody left at exactly the same time, that everybody, it would took us 20 minutes to get up and down Frolic Farm Boulevard. That being said, just that one point, okay? I think it's a great idea to develop this property, but I think that this traffic problem is going to be a problem. I know that we have asked for a traffic light in front of our neighborhood, and we would turn down because of the cost. So we only have one way in and one way out. We do not have the ability to go from east, west. It's one way in, one way out. We live right by the expressway, right by the Northern State. Everybody that comes to this church is going to come from the Northern State or the Long Island Expressway. There's no way that we won't have traffic concerns. There's no way that the amount of people that's going to be coming through our neighborhood, it's definitely going to be a concern to the people that live in Eagle Chase. And as far as communication is concerned, I have never gotten any written information. I've never gotten any verbal information. I've gotten zero communication from the people from the Jehovah's Witnesses about any of their proposals. I don't think anybody from Eagle Chase, including our attorney, knew anything about buses being brought in. I think that this whole entire project, the people from Eagle Chase need to be more informed, and I think that we need a contingency plan and a hold on this entire project until we have more people from this neighborhood to really understand what's happening here. I think that the amount of people that are going to be coming for services is a larger amount that was originally proposed. I think the number of days that you were having meetings is larger than was originally proposed. And I really think that our community, which is my house, my house is that house in the corner up where the maintenance people are going to be. I am concerned about the smells that are going to be, like from the trash. I am concerned about what's going to happen. I mean, I have a huge investment. I'm newly widowed, and this is my home. This is my investment, and I am concerned because somewhere down the road I am going to have to sell it, and I don't want my investment that I've maintained in pristine order to be affected by this. I mean, it could potentially be a problem, and I think that everybody in Eagle Chase and everybody from the existing that area needs to be more informed. I really think that this needs to, I don't know what the legal terms are, and I don't know exactly the mumbo jumbo that you're supposed to use, but I think there needs to be like a little bit of a pause put on this, and I think that the people that are completely affected by it really need to come here and have a real clear conversation. And as far as Mr. Osmond is concerned, that's a whole nother story, okay? I mean, he needs a psychiatric, whatever. But that's for another day. Anyway, he does not speak. He does not speak for our community. I can assure you of that. Anyway, I don't, like I said, I don't know what the legal terms are, but I think that there really needs to be a pause. Somehow, whatever that legal word is, that needs to be, that you can put a pause on this until we get some more real information about what's going to happen. Because I really don't know how you say to somebody, well, don't go past Eagle Chase. I mean, how do you say that? It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. I really don't. People, I just don't understand. With that being said.
Thank you. Elizabeth, do you want to?
Is there anybody else that wants to speak?
Well, no, let's take this because it covers, maybe it'll cover some other people.
Yeah. So it's interesting, she said she never received notice, but then she's talking about an original proposal and how this one is different, so I'm not really sure what she's talking about. We did notify everyone. You heard from the attorney for Eagle Chase and Wardbury Meadows. We did meet with the boards, actually, of both condominium associations, and we did send out letters to everybody. We sent out follow-up letters to everybody, and we invited people to public meetings. And we did have the mailing lists for both, and we did send them to both. We've been transparent from the beginning. This has been going on 18 months. We had meetings last June, like I stated. We did have members of Eagle Chase come to those meetings. We had follow-up meetings with several members in the community. So anybody who called or asked, we were out there. The town knew about it, everybody knew about it. The lawyers knew about it from the boards. They brought their boards to meet with us. I don't know if the association sent out notice to their members. That I can't tell you. I can't tell you if, the attorney or the board sent out letters to their own members. But I know that we did do a lot of public outreach. We did also, as stated by Andreas and myself, we did stipulate that we will put instructions in every invitation for those congregants who are coming to the site to utilize the Minetto Hill Road exits. This is a very organized organization, as you can see. Everything is done, they follow the rules, they listen to what's being told. So we've stipulated to all of these, we've been negotiating these with the association for 18 months, a year, almost a year now. We've been very transparent about our use. And let's face it, there could be an industrial use on this site that operates 7 days a week, with multiple cars coming all day long back and forth, with an organization that does not follow rules, that lets people come whenever they want. You have here the least intensive use of the site you'll ever see. You have an organization who has promised to be a good neighbor. We are not going to be traveling in any other communities. We are not going to be parking in any other communities. We have a distinct traffic operations, which you can see is very complex and extensive. So I think, whatever concerns she may have are allayed by everything that we've stated this evening.
Well, your stipulations had to come from someplace. But, go
Sir,
ahead. Thank you.
First of all, I respect what she said, and I understand fear. Been through many of these where people, this is their number one investment, and it was sad to hear that she's a recent widow, and that breaks my heart. But I'll tell you this, that this is only the beginning of our outreach to the community. We had 2 public sessions. That's how Eagle Chase found out about it. We sent out then a letter. We put up a website with the entire public session on the website. We sent out a newsletter to all of our area residents to let them know. But it doesn't really matter what we did. It matters what the effect was. And some obviously didn't get the story. What I would say now is that we're there 24/7, we're your neighbor now. And so please come visit us, and we'll mollify your concerns and work with you so that we can, an issue like stench from a garbage can, does that make you nervous? Yes, it won't happen, and we'll tell you why. But it can only happen with communication. So we invite the community to come in. We are your neighbors, we own the parcel. Let's talk now, and let's continue talking. That's the invitation we'll give to the community.
So could you ask your members to program the DVR, well, not the DVR, their Garmin, whatever they have, or draw a map and
Yeah.
show them which way to get there to and back home?
The fact is, we do that for them, and we will do that. So, but the other fact is that when you look at who's coming, we have only 2,000 people coming from the east, right? So they're coming 900 to 1,000 at a time. The majority of our folks are coming from the west. You saw our numbers. And so coming from the west, they'll never touch Eagle Chase. They'll never go near it because they're coming from the west and going out back west. So generally speaking, Eagle Chase will not be disturbed by the majority of our events, even if people follow their GPS.
So you're willing to go on board and talk to people? Continue the conversation, is what you said. Okay.
Anyone else?
I'm looking, but I'm not asking. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this application? Thank you all for your comments. Did I see a hand? I saw a hand. Do you want to come up? Stretching? Okay. All right, okay. Okay, no one else wishes to speak, so with that, I will, do you see a hand? Oh.
Hi, my name is Joe McCuna. I live at 28 Meadowbrook Road in Syosset and been a resident for 25 years. First of all, I agree with everything that the lady had presented to you guys. I've never received anything. I found out about this project in the newspaper. There was no notification of any kind given to me, my neighbors, anyone that I know.
Elizabeth, what's the radius?
It does not extend to 25 Meadowbrook Road in Syosset. It's a completely different town.
Yeah, I didn't think it would.
Radius is, what, 100 feet?
100 feet.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I understand that part. There's a very small radius of who's going to be notified. But just talking about transparency and, open discussions, I never saw a thing until I saw this in the newspaper a couple of weeks ago. And we're looking to move into the senior residence right across the street, the Woodbury Meadows. So it does affect me. I drove that route every day for 15, 16 years, going by Frolic Farm and cutting across to Sunnyside Boulevard. So I know what the traffic situation is like, and it was not as bad unless you were at rush hour. It was not as bad as anyone is, making it out to be. It was pretty reasonable. But there's just a few concerns, being so close and putting whatever we're going to have left into, an investment that I don't know what we're going to do now. I have no idea. Is there going to be oversight as to who the neighbors, your neighbors are going to be when you do decide to sell?
Well, you want to respond to that question? I think he did already, but you're going to be careful of, as careful as you...
I'll respond, yeah.
Sure.
When you're finished.
Can you stand up, please?
Would you like me to respond?
Oh, yeah, why don't you take that one? Yeah.
I think we have to give a little bit of, we have to look back a little bit to look at what was Geico. It was a 6-day-a-week operation, 18 hours a day, 2 to 3 shifts, 3,000 employees. This is very different, 1,800-plus parking lot. This is a facility that will be used 75 days a year. There will be no traffic during the day. There will be a staggered ingress and egress. We've heard the story. So we understand the fears, and the unknown is difficult, especially when you're investing in the community next door. But I will say this, I personally met with that board. We personally went over to them and we knocked on doors. Then we met with them at Fairfield Properties. We met with their representatives. We met with their attorney on a number of occasions, including this morning. We have a negotiated agreement, and that's the best representation you can get. And from our standpoint, when we think about that northern parcel, just think about what we're doing. We're not a developer. We're a religious organization. We're an educational organization. This will be the newest facility that we will have in the country. The last facility that we used in the New York area, we have used for 60 years. Typically, we use these for 40 to 50 years. We're investing $50 million into this site for the next 50 years. You better bet that that neighbor that we get is going to be compatible with who we are. Because it's going to be so important to us that we maintain the peaceful environment that we have created and that we have invested in for the sake of not only our neighbors, who are important to us, because we're going to live with them a lot longer than they will even live there, but also, especially, to our congregants.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was one of my questions was, you know, is there going to be oversight? Because is this going to be adding to traffic that's on the weekends? Is this going to be adding to the traffic? The new neighbors? Who are they going to be? And how do we have any say in? We have no say. We're leaving up to you to do the
Well,
right
I would say that, Scott, am I right? Whoever comes
It
in.
will have to comply with the town zoning code.
Absolutely.
But, you know, right now, we're adding, how many cars? 709 spots and 500 or so at a maximum level. That's still a pretty large amount. And from when we came in, we were told, you said 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening. Now it's 6:30 in the morning to whenever in the evening. How do we know what's going on here? That's my question.
I think it's very clear. I think we made it clear to the board, and excuse me if I wasn't clear to the audience. We have to man the facility starting at 6:30. Our attendants who are coming in, we have a meeting with them at 6:30 in the morning. So those folks, 150 of them will come in at that time. Our parking attendants need to come in before 7:30 so that they're staged. We allow parking to come in during that morning hour so that the volunteers have somewhere to go. So parking attendants will be on hand immediately when the first first car comes. We will stage that. We will then stage those folks who come early. So they'll be coming from even earlier than 6:30. They'll trickle in. Most will come right around 6:30. And then they'll come all the way till 9:30. They'll stay in their seats and they'll eat and they'll fellowship in the afternoon. And they'll leave in a staggered fashion after 4 on our assembly days, and in the summer after 5. And that will be a staggered egress because of the fact that they stay to clean the facility. So you don't have to really trust me on this one, because all you have to do is go to any one of our facilities on any weekend and you'll see that.
Well, I knew Geico paid taxes. Do the Jehovah's Witnesses pay taxes to Nassau County? You got the answers.
So when we bought the property in December of 2022, yes, we are a religious organization, so we are tax exempt. We recognized at that point that buying it in the middle of a budget year was going to be difficult, especially for the Syosset schools. We went to the Syosset schools. I personally talked to Dr. Rogers, and we told them that we would pay, even though we didn't have to, for the 2023 year. We are now tax exempt. We will not pay from henceforth. However, the issue about getting this done and raising that building is getting it back on the tax rolls. Our tax attorney has said that if we can achieve a tax, a sale, an unimproved value of more than 22 million, it will be a wash. It's very likely that the front parcel will yield a higher taxes than you currently were getting on the site, because it will be resold and improved, and thus will be taxed at a different rate. Ergo, if we can raise the building as soon as possible, sell the land to the right developer, there will be no loss. In fact, there will be a gain.
Just, to me, it seems like there's a lot of ifs. There's no way of knowing what's going to happen in the future. Taxes, that's very great that taxes were paid in 2023, but 2025, 26, 27, and beyond to infinity, there will be no tax. It's a tax-exempt organization. And this was approved already? I know we're here for planning and development, but...
For this, there's...
Not for this purpose, I know.
The other part, we don't know. It's not done yet. So we don't know. But they would have to conform with Town of Oyster Bay Code and possibly come before this board again, or a zoning board or something.
Was the question with the
But
taxes?
it's really the whole process, too, not just the taxes. I mean, we're here tonight because we read about it in a newspaper. I don't know what was, the two other meetings that went on, but are we at a stage where everything has been approved, or, I just don't know where we stand with the whole project.
No, this is a planning advisory board meeting.
Yes.
And the applicant, because they require more than 50 parking spaces.
Yes.
Has to obtain the approval from the planning advisory board for site design standards.
Okay.
And that's why the mailing radius is only 100 feet, and the sign requirement is on street frontage.
Yeah, I had a
7
portico
days
put in my
before.
house, and I had to do the same thing. Drew my own little map, and, came up before the board and made the presentation, the whole thing.
Yeah,
so.
different approvals have different mailing radiuses.
So there's other approvals that need to be done?
Just a building permit. So if this board approves the application, they would file a building permit application.
Thank you for your time. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me one second. I think she spoke already.
Oh.
and, You know,
Do you have something to add?
unless she, okay.
All right, go ahead, and then we'll have a response.
I did forget to point that out. My taxes, the church will not pay taxes. Our taxes are so high. So who is going to absorb the loss of that money from Geico that we are no longer going to have? And who knows, how many years will it be before somebody occupies or builds the adjacent property? So who's going to absorb all that? As it is, my little piece of condo, I'm paying close to $30,000 a year in taxes. I cannot afford to pay more than that because we now have a property which is 10 acres that will pay $0. My kids went through this Syosset School District, and I don't have a problem paying it forward, but I don't want to pay it backwards, and I don't want to absorb the cost for somebody that's not going to have to pay anything to live in that neighborhood. I've paid my dues, and I'm continuing to pay my dues, but I really resent the fact that they don't have to pay anything to be in the neighborhood. That's nice that they paid for 23, but what happens 24, 25, 26? They're first not coming in until 25, so you're talking 26, 27, 28 before that other building is even built. Where's that money coming from? You're going to say to everybody that lives in the town of Oyster Bay, well, you have to absorb the increase in the school taxes, and you're going to have to pay the difference in, or the property taxes. Why is that fair? I'm sorry, but I think that there needs to be a 30-day moratorium on a vote so that this community can be more informed on what it's going to do to them personally. I think the people that live on a street that doesn't encompass Frolic Farm, they're going to be affected too, because they're going to get an increased tax bill. People that live in Syosset, the people that live in Plainview, they don't know that they're going to get hit with a bigger tax bill because there's no more income coming from a 10-acre lot. That's a huge money. How much did Geico pay in taxes a year? You do the math, you figure it out, and you tell me how much each of us who live in this town are going to have to pay more because we're not getting that tax revenue from 10 acres. So maybe in 10 years from now, when I'm not even around here, they'll start getting some money in, but at that point, the taxes are already established, and it's already, I have to grieve it again and again and again to get it to what? Back to the $30,000 I'm already paying? I'm sorry, I think that there needs to be a hold on the vote. I think that this neighborhood, this whole entire neighborhood, all of Oyster Bay really needs to understand the ramifications of what this is going to do.
Just to talk about the taxes for a little while. All religious institutions in Nassau County, in the town of Oyster Bay, they're all 501c3. They don't pay taxes. They're tax exempt. So they're entitled to their tax exemption. We know that. Did they pay in 2023 for the full year? Yes, they did. Did they retain a tax consultant to give them the best advice on how to mitigate the tax impact to the community? They did. They didn't have to, but they did. We have a report. We'll submit it to the board. And what the tax consultant said, that as soon as you sell that 10 acres, that 10 acres will mitigate any loss from the entire 20 acres. So that 10 acres value is going to be the same as the original 20 acres, and that will mitigate the tax impact. Now, are we going to try and do the best we can to build as soon as possible? You heard, in 14 months it should be built. They are going to start marketing as soon as possible. So they're going to look for a buyer as soon as possible. That buyer, once they purchase, they're going to start paying taxes. That's just what it's going to be. So they understand that there is a tax impact, but there's a tax impact with all religious uses and all places of worship in Nassau County. This is something that arises every single day. So we understand that there is a tax impact, but we're doing our best to mitigate that tax impact with the other 10 acres, which will be much more valuable than the former Geico facility was at 20 acres. So the tax consultant did do this study for us when we first, purchased the property. We did pay the full tax bill for 2023, and we're hoping that as soon as this is built and we get the building raised, we get the property sold so it goes back onto the tax rolls. So we have there's no intention to hurt anybody here. We're just going to build our building, we're going to take our tax exempt status, and we're going to attempt to do everything we can to mitigate that hole.
How soon will you start marketing? Can you start marketing right away?
Right away.
The land is the land.
Right away, because we were not allowed to market this property previously because you're not allowed by law unless it's subdivided. So once we received our subdivision, they have now retained commercial real estate brokers, and they're going to, market the property now. And just so you know, there's been many articles, about this site in the newspaper, Long Island Business News, all of that. But anyway, so to answer the tax question, that's the best we can do in terms of mitigating the taxes on these parcels, which a lot of places of worship don't have that luxury to buy an adjacent parcel to mitigate or whatever. It just comes off the rolls. Here, in actuality, the taxes are going to be mitigated within hopefully the next 36 months. So they're doing the best they can to operate as quickly as possible to get those 10 acres back onto the tax rolls.
Thank you.
Okay. You have something new? Okay.
Are there any stipulations that say that the property can't be sold to another religious organization, another 503c that doesn't pay taxes?
Can we agree to that? I mean, we don't intend to sell it to another 501c3. I mean, I think we've stated that on the record. Our intention is to sell it to someone who is going to come back onto the tax
And pay
rolls.
taxes.
Correct.
Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion. Secretary Byrne?
I'll make a motion,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay,
that we accept the application as proposed.
with the for the stipulations?
Yeah, with the stipulations, I'm sorry.
What do you have, eight? Eight?
Eight.
Eight,
Eight
okay.
stipulations.
Second? Okay. Call the roll, please.
Okay, on the motion by Member Warner, seconded by Member Chabina. Chairman Stanko.
Aye.
Member Chabina.
Aye.
Member Warner.
Aye.
Member Castellane.
Aye.
Member Byrne. Aye. Chairman, the motion passes with 5 ayes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the presentation and all your comments. Let's take a short break. Scott.
I'll just make the announcement that we're going to take, just turn off the recording. Just, you want to make an announcement that we're going to just take a 10-minute break?
We're going to take a short break for the next applicant.
Thank you. Look on. Stop digging, come on. Stop digging.
Yeah.
answered that, Elizabeth did a great job. She did answer that tax question again, that's so often, right new construction. Maybe take 3 years to get back, 10 years to get back. I would have to wait 10 years.
She just don't understand that that's not worked out. It may help it.
In this case, one woman, you always know what you're going to have.
Yeah. They might want to think about it. You never know. Scott.
Next.
We don't have control over this thing.
No, I tried to.
I know, me too. I tried flipping back, I want to see a picture again.
I have no mouse there, I have nothing. All right, we're going to the heads.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I guarantee that. Hit on that. Okay, great.
Do the board members see, do they have their own screen? Oh, okay, I just put these books together. I guess they don't need them. All right.
How are you? Hi, how you doing?
How you doing?
Go ahead, sit down and I'll push it.
Oh, wait, yeah, I want to get that,
Put it in the middle here.
there you go, you got it?
Okay.
Did you see
now
I brought you in with the golf outing?
Huh?
Did you see I brought you in with the golf outing? Isn't that true with those guys?
Yeah.
They would park all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they were all here for me. I'm feeling much better.
You okay? Ready? Yep. Okay, we will reconvene. The second item this evening is West Cherry Street in Hicksville, 11801. The applicant is seeking site plan approval from the Department of Planning and Development for the construction of a three-story apartment building with 20 residential units, ground floor parking, indoor and outdoor amenity spaces, and associated site improvements. The proposed use for the subject property is a permitted use pursuant to Chapter 246, Table 5.2 of the Code of the Town of Oyster Bay. Do we have any correspondence on this, Secretary Byrne?
Yes, Chairman, we have a memo from the Zoning Division dated June 1st, 2022, stating that subject property located at 33 and 37 West Cherry Street, Hicksville, New York, 11801, has a Nassau County Land and Tax Map designation of Section 11, Block 291, Lots 32 and 37, and is located within the HD2 Hicksville Downtown Zoning District. We have a memo from the Department of Environmental Resources dated February 5th, 2024, classifying this project as a negative declaration for the purposes of SEQR. We have a memo from the Code Enforcement Bureau dated May 27, 2022, stating that there are no open code cases on the subject property. Chairman, since the memo is several months old, the Planning Division contacted the Code Enforcement Bureau this week, and there is currently an open code case for non-maintenance of the property. We have a memo from the town's Department of Public Works Highway Division dated May 31st, 2022, and Engineering Division dated August 21st, 2023, stating they have reviewed the site plan and have no objections. We have resolution number 10,565-24 adopted on March 21st, 2024 from the Nassau County Planning Commission recommending local determination for this project. We have a memo from the Planning Division dated February 23rd, 2024 stating the required parking for the subject property is 30 parking spaces and 30 parking spaces have been provided. We have a memo from the Planning Division dated February 23rd, 2024 stating that the division has conducted a review in accordance with Chapter 246, Section 6, Site Plan Review of the Code of the Town of Oyster Bay, and is referring the site plan to the Planning Advisory Board for appropriate action. And we have the affidavit of sign, posting, and affidavit of mailing from the applicant.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Anthony Guardino. I'm a partner with the law firm of Farrell Fritz and Hop. I represent the applicant. I have a couple of cards here. I don't know if Scott should be handing that up. I didn't realize that you all see what's up there on your screen, so I printed these books. I don't know if it's easier to look at the book or is it easier to
I pass them out. Yeah, brought them.
I got it on the screen.
Yeah, if you want. It's up to you.
Flip through them if you want. I will know for next time. There you go.
Recycle.
Great. Thank you, Scott. Thanks for doing it. So it's the same thing that you have up on the screen. But anyway, I'm joined tonight by Walter Siebert, who is a professional engineer with Cameron Engineering, and also Salvatore Coco, who is an architect with BHC Architects. Ishmeet and Gunit Singh, who are principals of the owner, which is Primero Cherry LLC, are also present tonight, in case there are any questions that you have of them. They're right here, to my left, behind me. So our team represents, as I mentioned, Primero Cherry LLC, and we are seeking site plan approval to replace an existing residence on two single-family lots with a 20-unit, three-story apartment building that will have both indoor and outdoor amenities. This use, as was mentioned, is expressly permitted under the applicable regulations of the relatively new Hicksville Downtown District and the HD Gateway Transition, which I guess is the HT2 sub-district in which this property is located. I do want to point out that the building was laid out and designed with those regulations in mind, so that there are no variances required and no other discretionary approvals other than the site plan from this board. The project was presented, I think it's important to point out also that the project was presented last week to the Hicksville Community Council. It appeared to be well-received. Mr. McCaffrey from the town was there and for that meeting, and he can describe to you, his reaction or what his perception of the reaction from the community, but I think it was generally favorable. The property is a little less than a half an acre. It's 0.4 acres in size. It's rectangular in shape. It's on the south side of West Cherry. It's about 400 feet west of Broadway and about 135 feet east of Frederick Place. In your booklet at Exhibit 1, 2, and 3, you can see the relative location of the parcels. As you will see, there are two adjoining tax lots that comprise the subject property. One is located at 33 West Cherry and the other at 37 West Cherry. The westerly lot at 37 West Cherry is currently vacant, but was improved with a single-family residence as recently as 2019. The easterly lot is improved currently with a small single-family residential home, and there's a photo of that of those two properties at Exhibit 5 in your booklet. The site is surrounded by a mix of residential, commercial, industrial, and community uses. To the north is a single-family residence, a vacant former playground is there, and the Trinity Lutheran Church Community Garden. And then if you go to the west, there's a driveway, which is the driveway to the Hicksville Community Center, and then a single-family residence. And then further west is a large office building that appears to be occupied by Verizon. And then to the east, you have two single-family residences, and then the former Chroma Paint building further east. And then there's an industrial building that's also located to the east, but that building is on the north side of West Cherry. And then to the south of the lot is the Hicksville Community Center and the parking lot for that center. And the photos are in your booklet there at Exhibit 6. So the apartment building that is being proposed is relatively modest in size. It will have a total of just 20 units and be comprised of only 1 and 2 bedroom units. The project, as originally proposed, actually was proposing 29 units, but that was reduced based on feedback from the town and its consultants. About 15% of these units will be designated for affordable units and workforce housing units. And on the ground level, there will be a total of 30 parking spaces, as was mentioned by Scott, a lobby in the building, a stairway, elevator, bike storage room off the lobby area, a secondary stairway, a trash room, utility space, all spaces that are necessary for the apartment building. There will also be a dog run on the south side of the property that extends the full length of the parcel. It's about 175 feet long. The second floor will have 10 apartments and both indoor and outdoor amenity space. The third floor will have 10 apartments as well and utility space. So the living space is on the first floor is the parking, then, the ground floor is parking. Then first floor will be living space, and then next floor up will also be living space. The roof level will have indoor and outdoor amenity space as well. At the town's request, the architecture of this building was revised several times with a direction to create a more prominent corner of the building in the northwest corner of the building to give it a greater presence on that street corner where the main entrance is located, and that was done, and that's part of your, you can see that in the drawings, the architectural drawings. And then finally, before I turn it over to Walter and Sal, as you know, one of the major justifications for the adoption of the Hicksville Downtown Zoning District regulations was the area's proximity to the Long Island Railroad Station, right, which is one of Long Island's major transportation hubs. This site is only located 0.4 miles from that railroad station, so it is a walkable distance, also a bikeable distance, so that fits in well with the goals and objectives of this, the Hicksville downtown zoning regulations. And while this area has historically always been attractive to rail and bus commuters because of the proximity to the transportation hub, the housing options were very limited in this area, generally single-family homes. And in particular, apartment, multifamily rental is particularly scarce in this area. So this will fill a need, it will address a deficiency, it will introduce a modern and attractive apartment building to the area that will be consistent with the purposes of this new zoning district that was put in place. At this point, I think it's probably best for me to turn this over to Walter Siebert. He's the project engineer. He'll walk the board through the site plan, and then we'll ask Sal to come up and talk about the architecture. So, Walter. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Walter Siebert, registered landscape architect, not engineer, just for the record. Associate with Cameron Engineering, an IMEG company. Offices at 177 Crossways Park Drive, Woodbury, New York, 11797. I'm going to skip through some of my presentation, not to cover stuff that's already been talked about. It is getting late, and I don't want to waste your time, but the building is essentially a property line to property line building with the small rear yard that we talked about, that Anthony spoke about, which will encompass the dog run. But on the ground level of the building, that is really community amenity space. It'll have the lobby, it'll have support spaces for the building and utility. On the west side of the building's front facade is the main lobby entrance. That's a pedestrian entrance, and that gives access to the residents in the building if they're entering by foot and not car. There's also a secondary access into the building from the parking that's on grade below the podium of the second and third story units. And on the east side of that front elevation will be access to the on-site private parking. The vehicular driveway that gives access to West Cherry into the site will provide access to the 30 proposed parking spaces. In addition to car parking, there will also be a dedicated room for bicycle storage for the residents on that level. Also included on that level is the refuse and recyclable storage room, where refuses and recyclables will be stored in containers and picked up on a scheduled collection day by a private carter. As detailed on the site plan drawings that have been submitted to the town, to accentuate the building's architecture and enhance the community, a complete streetscape design is proposed for the front of the building, for the frontage of the building, as required by the town's design guidelines for the overlay zoning district. These streetscape enhancements include new foundation plantings, concrete sidewalks, decorative stamped concrete banding, columnar street trees, and decorative street lamps. In the rear of the property, separating the proposed dog run from the adjoining property, the Hicksville Community Center, is a 6-foot-tall solid panel fence. The property also has frontage on the Hicksville Community Center driveway that gives access to West Cherry Street, and the site plan proposes to replace that sidewalk, replace the existing chain link fence, replace the gates into that driveway on behalf of for the town's benefit. A proposed drainage system was designed in accordance with the town's requirements, which is for a 5-inch rainfall in a 24-hour period. The building will be serviced by new potable and fire water services, which will require water main improvements to be completed by the Hicksville Water District, and we have made submissions and are in negotiations with the Water District for that proposed work. The building, and Sal can touch on this a little bit more, but does have some interior and exterior amenity spaces on the second floor and also on the rooftop of the building. During construction, the applicant will be required to install a 6-foot-tall chain link fence. On that fence will be affixed a solid mesh windscreen for the duration of construction to minimize disturbance to the neighbors while construction is happening. They will also, while the project is less than an acre and did not require SWIP, we do call for stormwater pollution prevention measures to be put in place during construction to keep any sediment on site and also to maintain the right-of-way from debris and sediment from exiting the property. So with that, I'll ask Sal to speak unless you have any direct questions for me at this time.
The only question I had,
Yeah.
you mentioned bike storage.
Yeah.
If you read the newspapers with New York City with these electric bikes.
Yeah.
They're causing terrible, I mean.
No, understood, yeah, no, don't disagree.
You know, is this room going to be some sort of a fireproof room, for lack of a better term? So that this new apartment building doesn't go up in flames?
I think that'd be a better question for Sal to address with the codes and requirements for that. It's also, will be a function of building management as to what they actually allow for being stored. They could, as owner, operator of the building, just say it's meant for conventional bicycles. But I can let Sal speak to that as well.
My understanding is that
Name.
Salvatore Coco, Beatty Harvey Coco Architects in Ellenville. My understanding is that the bikes would only be conventional bikes. Nevertheless, it's located on the ground floor within a concrete enclosed room, and the ceiling of that is also concrete but, sometimes you can't control everything, but it's not intended to allow an electric bike in the bike storage room.
Is that room fire rated by any chance?
Yeah, it's fire rated. It's fully sprinklered, and yeah, it would be concrete walls and ceiling in that concrete floor.
CMU fire stopping with a 2-hour rating?
Yep, as a storage room. So as we spoke about, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the architecture we're using. We've worked with the town and their consultants to make sure it has a residential appearance. You see dormers, masonry, standing seam metal roof, pitched roofs. There's Juliet balconies, and just to clarify, the plan, although it is a rectangle on the ground floor, when you get to levels 2 and 3, it's really an L shape, which allows us on the second floor to have an amenity terrace that's accessible for the residents, a green space for quiet congregation, and the residents who are in that courtyard area, they'll have a private terrace on level 2 and 3. On level 2, there's also an indoor amenity space, meeting room lounge. Then the downstairs ground level also has amenity, which will help animate West Cherry with activity, kitchenette, community tables, lounge area, remote work, all of those type of elements, an on-site office, and a corner lobby. The rest of the facade is taken over, is parking, but the majority of it is active space. It'll be lit and animated. And we also are proposing a rooftop deck with a gym on the top floor. It's a small fitness center, but it has a couple of treadmills and active space and outdoor deck. And, honestly, this is a very high-end and unique. The intent is to put a very high-level quality building here with the hopes that it will spur further development along Cherry Street. And we think it'll be very attractive, a small development for someone who might commute to the city and walk to West Cherry Street. Back to Anthony.
Thanks, Al.
And it's 20 units, 10 and 10?
10 and 10.
10 and
correct.
10, there's 3 floors then? On the very first is the ground level? Is that-
Ground level's parking and lobby,
Parking
and some
lobby.
amenity space, and then 10 units, 10 units.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sal mentioned, the hope is that this will stimulate other development on West Cherry. It's a good way to kind of put your toe in the water. It's relatively small development.
How about entrance to the building? They need a key, chip, or
I would,
automatic security, or?
we haven't gotten to that level, but in this type of development, it's probably a key fob, yeah, that would be secure. And, management would be sure that there'll be security cameras as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That'd be for the garage as well? Key
The whole-
access for the garage?
The intent is that that will be a door that closes, and you'll have for lack of a better term, a clicker that will allow you access.
We know what you mean.
We call it a Yeah.
Anthony, did you say that there's going to be a component of affordable housing in this?
Yes.
Okay. About, what's the mix?
It's going to be 3 units. It's 15%. And it would be 2 units would be affordable, and 1 of the units would be workforce. So different. So 1 would be at the higher AMI and 1 at the lower AMI, or 2 at the lower AMI.
And you have the lighting on the building as well as those poles?
There's
Oh, he's working on it.
all of that was taken into consideration in the light, dark sky compliance, but there's accent lighting at the exits and at the entry.
Okay.
As well as street lighting.
And then,
Oh.
That's yours. You have both. You have yours.
that's it.
I told you, Anthony, turn your microphone on.
On the first floor where you have that dog walk area, you call it a dog walk area in the back? Is there any lighting for that area?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we're literally in between the community center and our building.
Right, that's why I'm asking, because,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to walk my dog in the dark.
No, absolutely not.
So there will be the same kind of lighting fixtures or whatever that's on the rest of the building for the...
Yeah, we've worked to make that area as attractive as possible, and it'll be well lit and inviting and safe. It's fenced in and accessible for the residents.
Okay.
How is the trash handled for the building?
Well, within each floor, there's a compactor room and a chute, and then it goes to a trash enclosure room.
Yeah, and we've, during the review with the planning department, demonstrated that a smaller trash collection truck can access the on-grade parking to collect the compacted trash bin, the compacted sausages, really, yeah, it's like sausage, and then exit the property. So it'll be a function of building management, setting up the correct schedule based on the number of residents that they have.
Okay. Scott, anything?
Is there any mechanical equipment anywhere on the building? Is it all on the roof, and if it is it screened?
Yeah, during the approval, one of the town's consultants did ask us, I think Sal did, add some details and imagery, but there is rooftop mechanical unit that will have condenser screening around it. It's going to be 42 inches tall.
Okay.
It's also parapet wall, right? Yeah. Combination of the parapet. In addition-
So it's all on the roof, and it's
all on the roof,
parapet and it's screened?
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
And down on the street, what's proposed is a subgrade electrical transformer. so there'll be nothing really that great with regards to utilities.
It might be worth adding, it's an elevator building. All the units are handicapped accessible. Yeah.
I know, probably not, but I'll ask the question. Do you have a generator? You're proposing a generator?
No, we don't need one.
Okay. I'm just, that's my bag.
When would you be able to start, and how long would this project take?
It probably would take 18 months.
I was just going to say, I believe in some of these legal documentation, we were around an 18 to 24-month construction period. I don't think it's more than 18 months once a permit is issued.
And once we get through this process, the intention is to pursue that permit as soon as possible.
Have you applied for permits yet?
I don't think we can. We can't.
No? Okay.
We need your approval.
You wouldn't be you wouldn't be the first ones to apply for a permit and then come to us. And I think the ones before us did that. Well, before you, sorry.
So that gave you the right answer then.
Yeah.
No?
No?
Does anyone wish to speak on the application? Oh, yes.
Good evening, members of the
You
board.
can pull that
Chairman.
mic towards you, please. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board, Chairman, everyone. Jeffrey Negron, I'm the president of the Northwest Civic Association of Hicksville. Our area is peripherally impacted. We have peripheral interest, I should say, in this project. A couple of questions that came up that I'm looking for clarity on from the presentation that they made to the Hicksville Community Council last week. I'm looking for, maybe I missed it while I was busy on my phone over there, but the 15% affordable units and workforce units, if that could be expanded on, because that's a frequent question.
Anthony, is that you?
Yeah, again, I mean, there's not much I can say other than there would be two affordable, which would be, I believe, at the 80% AMI, and then one workforce, which I believe is at 120 AMI. So they're all essentially affordable, but they're affordable at different levels. And 3 units is 15%.
So we're not talking about Section 8 or?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right, good enough. Question also came up about handicap parking, which was not, I don't think was addressed at our meeting either, and I think they needed to find out what would happen here in order to be able to answer that question. And our question is, my last question is a more broad question that covers all of these downtown revitalization projects, and it has to do with the electric vehicle charges. Our concern here is not as pronounced, I guess I should say, as it is with the projects close to the train station, the close proximity to the train station. But we're worried about the thoughts of the fire department access, because that's a really big deal with those subterranean EV charging stations that are proposed in one of the other projects. I know that's not the case here, but we're still concerned about accessibility by the fire department, because the fires that we have seen in the news and that have been reported on are much more dangerous and are much more different animals, so to speak, than your normal car fire or house fire.
Have you discussed that with the fire department?
Yes, so with regards to the ADA accessible, there are the adequate number of accessible spaces indicated on the site plan and the architectural plans based on building code and the American Disabilities Act. With regards to the EV charging stations, we met with the Hicksville Fire Department. Originally, the EV charging stations were shown behind the lobby. At the request of the Hicksville Fire Department, we did move them so that they were located just inside of the garage entry door for accessibility, and if they, in the event that they did need to service a fire while a automobile was connected to one of those. So we did address the concerns that the Hicksville Fire Department did have with regards to the location of the EV charging stations.
So the ground level plan, the ground level plan that I'm looking at now, it has the EV spaces behind the lobby, so that has been moved?
Those are moved, if you go to the...
Yeah, the engine, yeah, the civil plans
The
have
civil
them.
plan, there's a...
Page C3 has
Yeah.
them closer to the entrance, along with the accessible parking spaces. I was just going to ask that.
Yeah.
So the civil plan is the
The
more...
civil plan is the accurate plan.
Okay, so it's more up to date.
Yep.
Yeah, it's-
the garage entrance.
yeah. The accessible spaces are by the elevator too, which makes more sense.
So how many,
I think we were only required to have 2, based on the number of spaces on the site. There's a formula that you just back into. Yep.
That was it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, does anyone else wish to speak on the application?
Good evening. I'm on West Cherry Street from last 20 years, 25 years. Every time when it rains, we have a lot of waters. I don't know if they have a dry wells or not. And another thing is with electricity and the sprinkler systems, how they are going to bring the big pipe, because I have a big commercial place there, 30,000 square feet, to bring the sprinkler system. They had a big pipe goes on. And all the time, we have a problem with the water pressure. So how that thing will going to handle?
Want to take it one at a time?
Well, I think the question about the water is kind of addressed by the water, right, the new connection that
Yeah, so
we
we-
need to bring down the road.
Yeah, we've, you know, part of the process is you write a utility availability letter to each of the utility providers that you're going to request service from. We did reach out to the Hicksville Water Department. We went through a series of reviews with them. They determined that they do need to make an upgrade to the water main that goes from Broadway to the east side of, or the west side of the subject property. The improvements that they've proposed will provide adequate water for both fire suppression and also the domestic water that we spoke about or that we discussed with the water department for the project that's at hand here, the 20 residential units.
Water, and what was the other?
The electric?
Yeah, electric
We
also
al-
is
we
very
als-
old,
we-
so we have only one circuit coming to the street. And every time power goes, like it's gone for 3 hours, 4 hours.
Similarly, we did reach out to PSE&G, and we obtained a letter of availability for electric to service the project based on the preliminary demand that was given to them. There'll be further communication now that we're at this level of the project and move into final construction documentation and project planning.
And hopefully that'll help him and other people.
And dry wells, because the water
Oh,
gets...
the water.
Oh, yeah, the water gets in
So-
the street.
Yes, we've, you know, designed and presented to the town a drainage system that will collect 5 inches of rainwater over a 24-hour period. That water will be contained and recharged on site. We are using a leaching galley in lieu of a dry well, just because of the proximity being underneath the podium of the building. But we are containing our stormwater on site based on the requirements of the town's stormwater code.
I would just add, and correct me if I'm wrong, Walter, that the existing development that's there, I'm sure, is not containing the water, or unlikely to be containing the water, right? Because it's an older house, the lot that was there in the older house.
Right.
They didn't require it back then, this is required.
No, but the street gets water.
But that's because it runs off. We're required to contain all of the water on our site now at a fairly significant amount,
And
too,
the parking is going to be in the back.
under the building.
So the cars are going to come from the front, or it's going to go from the sides?
Access to the on-site parking is from West Cherry Street on the east side of the building's front elevation.
Do you have the elevation to show them?
I do.
Yeah, it's up on the screen if you, the ground floor there, nicely enclosed.
So this is
Like those doors.
Yes, driveway, yes, this is the line of entrance.
The doors around the parking lot. When it's enclosed, I can't stand when the building's on the roads.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's what it is. How many square feet is this whole building?
Thirty parking spaces, that is already satisfied, the town code. Town code requires 29 and a half spaces, based on another bedroom. This is also intended to be a commuter type development. It's only half a mile to the Long Island Railroad as far as walking distance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
What was the total square footage of the building?
Oh, you want
Looks like the second and third are the same.
Yeah, right, it's,
Yeah.
right, they're bigger on the,
Still, building area is not a zoning criteria.
I saw read that somewhere, but that doesn't tell you what the house was.
No. Lot size.
Yeah, we don't seem to have that number. I do recall reading 1,497 on the bottom where the lobby is, but that's the smallest, that's just the small
I mean,
space.
the lot is 17,500 square feet. The building occupies the majority of it.
I think it's 13 each floor, three.
Per floor.
13.3 times 2, I think about 1497 on the first. Okay.
This has a sewer system connected to the sewer?
Yeah, no, this will be connected to the Nassau County DPW collection system and conveyed down to Cedar Creek. And similar to the other utilities, we did write a letter, we request a letter of availability, which was issued by Nassau County DPW.
Scott, good? Anyone else wish to speak? I don't think so. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the application as presented.
Is there a second? Second.
Okay, on the motion by Member Burns, seconded by Member Castellane. Chairman Stanko.
Aye.
Member Chabina.
Aye.
Member Warner.
Aye.
Member Castellane.
Aye.
Member Byrne votes aye. Chairman, the motion passes with 5 ayes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And a motion to adjourn?
Motion to
Motion
adjourn.
adjourned.
Good night.
Second.
Seconded. 30. There it is. Jesus, Angela. Hey, Scott. How come we can't get these instead of this?
Yeah. That would be nice, the little booklet.
I mean, it'll be easier for you.